Moments ago, well, I guess an hour ago, Middlekoff texted me and said, "What did you say about Sam Darnold?" In that text
Sneaky good
message,
game, week 17.
I was like, "All right." He threw for over 300 yards. Brady threw for a bunch of yards. Bucks won the game. I was like, "All right, maybe Middlekoff's feeling it. Just watch the best game." Wrong impression. Let me watch the Saints game when Darnold was 5 for 11, week 18, and I got to tell you, he's better than the numbers in that game. So, could Sam Darnold end up as the 49ers starter? It's not as far-fetched as that first thought may seem because he's definitely better than a third-string quarterback, and he might be better than the 49ers backup, whoever that is.
Based on the game that I watched, and when you factor in his playing experience, 55 career starts, the pedigree, his youth, I would say he'd be immediately one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. When you factor in a lot of the old guys that hung around forever, think about like the Schaubs and the Colt McCoys and these guys that Chase Daniel, the moment they have to play, you're screwed.
Yeah.
This guy, I would say, quote unquote, resurrected his career a little bit the end of this season, right? Because it was not going well after 2021 when he got his fifth-year option picked up. They made the trade, and then the offseason they had to trade for Baker Mayfield. But I think the life that he showed, I mean, in the game against Tampa, which, listen, this is not the Tampa defense from a couple years ago. Dak Prescott threw for 700 yards or whatever in that Monday night playoff game. So he's not playing the 85 Bears here, but arm strength, we know he's a mobile guy. I wouldn't call him a runner, but he's definitely not some stiff, right? He can move. To me, his arm strength was more impressive than I remember several years ago, where I thought, for a big, he was like one of your classic, like 6'4" pitchers that only throws 92. That's what he
Joe
kind of felt
Blanton.
like. Yeah, a little bit stronger arm than that, but in that world, I felt like he was throwing more like 94, 95, which and just a little more pop and zip on his arm. Threw a beautiful touch pass to DJ Moore, which I still can't believe the Carolina Panthers traded because you can't watch Carolina if they're functional in the game without him just making plays. God, I mean, they might have really had something with Christian, DJ Moore, him, Laviska, flying
Steve
around
Wilkes.
out there. Yeah, solid defense. I mean, no wonder they were coming on. I just find him. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued, and I think one thing that a rumor that was bubbling, which let's face it, probably agent driven. This guy has more to work with than Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield was out there as a potential, I wouldn't just say 49er connection, just a lot of teams sniffing around as a guy, could be a backup, could be a starter. I would rather have Sam Darnold, especially I think when you factor in zero issues as a human being.
Yep. Youth, little younger, right?
Little younger for sure.
And Nick Bosa doesn't hate him.
That helps as well.
So you mentioned one throw. I'm with you. I also thought watching the Saints game, his second throw of the game, he makes this 7-step drop. A lot of play action, a lot of deep drops, and a lot of quick throws. So, he's done stuff that Kyle Shanahan wants his quarterbacks to do. Deep drop, hangs in a pocket, effortless 50-yard throw down the sideline to DJ Moore. When you watch 49ers quarterbacks, you don't get accustomed to downfield sideline throws. But it was a pretty effortless. It was 50 air yards. It was from his own 30 to the opposite 20. Doesn't complete it. Just off of DJ Moore's fingertips. DJ Moore had beaten his guy down the sideline. Kind of one of those step for step, a half step, throws it where only his guy can get it. His guy doesn't get it. Maybe there's a PI. It's not called. But I thought what was really impressive about the throw, there was no hump to it. On a 50-yard throw, it was, it was not a rainbow. It was a laser 50-yard throw. Later in that game, again, he was 5 of 10 or 5 and 11 in this game. So I turned on the tape expecting him to look bad. He didn't. He throws 2 interceptions, one kind of a seam throw where the safety comes over and takes it away in the end zone or just in front of the end zone. The other was one of those where he's trying to hit DJ Moore, who's open down the sideline again, like really open, and he gets the right tackle, gets pushed into him, and so he can't follow through, and the ball kind of hangs up and gets picked. But New Orleans, it's in a tie game late. New Orleans misses the field goal. Carolina gets the ball back, and Darnold hit some big throws, including one just before they're able to get a timeout with 3 seconds left to set up the game-winning field goal. He was more athletic. I watched him and thought this guy looks healthy. That's what I thought watching him. He had to get out of the pocket a ton. He was flush from the pocket in that Saints game. And he got sacked a couple of times, but for the most part, it was kind of Brock-ish. Like you're watching it going, where are you going, man? Where are you going? Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. And he did a good job of either getting rid of the ball, avoiding a sack, or picking up a couple of yards on a few occasions. So he was, I came away thinking more athletic. Maybe it's because he's healthy and better arm than I remember.
I was texting with someone that was like, what makes this situation very unique, is Kyle clearly gets quarterbacks who aren't viewed around the league, Purdy, Mullins, even Jimmy, are not viewed as like the high end talents. And he just has a natural inclination to be drawn to them if they do something. Clearly, he's not the most open with it, but it's once you follow the 49ers closely enough, you kind of have an idea of what he kind of looks for. Clearly the character stuff is a big deal as well. So it's like a total package thing with his quarterbacks. Is that, this is still somewhat of a moldable guy, yet who's played a lot. And they're different players, but like this is someone that Kyle, I would say, has been drawn to now for years. They didn't have the chance, when he came out because they were at 9 and they had Jimmy at the time. It's not like they were going to take him then. But last year or 2 years ago when he was available, never forget, like when Andy traded for Alex. Now, Alex, I would say, had really resurrected his career, given that he was the starting quarterback on a playoff team. But like, go back and look at his stats. Like in 2011 on the 49ers, the year that they went to the NFC Championship game, he wasn't lighting the world on fire. And when I believe in you, my point is like Andy Reid really believed in Alex Smith. It was just, he was just drawn to the player. Now they had to trade more for him. It's not an apples to apples comparison, but like there was still more to the player to bring out, and you just got to get your hands on him. And I think that just enables Kyle this signing. Because watching that tape of just that Tampa game, I went, at this age, you wouldn't think this guy could get $6-7 million or something. And I wonder if this is one of your classic, like, and there are some of these coaches now that kind of have it, right? You would put Andy at the top of the list. If he went to someone, I would say Kyle McVay. If they really sell you on, I believe in you, I'm the play caller, let me help you. And I wonder if by the time this press conference comes out, some of it kind of comes out with Kyle or John or obviously Sam talking about the relationship and the conversation that they had in the intrigue of this spot. Because I would be stunned, Guy, if this wasn't a player that a lot of teams were sniffing around at that price point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they gave him $8 million. I mean, they gave him 3.5, which is solid for the Niners, which is a number. But just when you watch the player, you think he's worth more to the league.
Yeah. I did think when I saw 3.5 guaranteed, that's not what you pay your third string quarterback.
We don't pay your third string quarterback anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, last year they paid Sudfeld $1 million.
He was their backup quarterback.
Jimmy wasn't going to be. Yeah, that's when they thought Jimmy wasn't going to be back. They would have made him their third string quarterback. We thought, and then Brock Purdy beat him out. Or at least Brock Purdy impressed them enough to make him the quarterback. You know how many years Alex Smith was on the Chiefs?
4.
Yeah, 5. It's a long time. He didn't become a efficient passer in terms of completion percentage until his last year with the Niners when he was 70%. He had never been over 61% in his career, except, he was 61.3 the year prior. He'd only twice in his career before 2012 been over a 60% passer. So that was year 7 for him that he became an efficient passer. He was 61% his first year in Kansas City, and then he was 65 and up the rest of the way in Kansas City. If Brock Purdy is on the Panthers last year, like Sam Darnold, is he the 67% passer he was for the 49ers? If Sam Darnold is on the Niners last year, is he a 58% passer, which is what he was for Carolina? It'd go to reason that it'd be harder for Brock to be 67 on that Panthers team. It'd be easier for Darnold to not be 58 on the Niners. So I just think I'm with you. I think you see a lot of what might work. And you just think about it. You go, okay, is it crazy to say he might be their starter? Well, Brock has started 5 games plus the postseason and is recovering from surgery. Trey, as you pointed out on Monday, has never started back-to-back games in his career. So the only thing that would be crazy is to say that Sam couldn't That would be the crazy thing, is to not be able to envision a scenario where he doesn't.
55 at 25 years old, 55 career starts. So his playing experience of the other two guys that are in the room, one coming off a broken foot that needed a second surgery, and the other guy has an apparatus in his elbow. Like, so it's laughable. Again, the bar that I hold Twitter to, but see some of the reactions of like, and then when you just watch the guy at the end of the season and you go, yeah, DJ Moore's really good, but who else? He's playing with Laviska Shenault. You and I like him, but I don't think he's viewed around the league as like the next Jamar Chase.
More because we have a soft spot, not because we're grinding the film and think that he's not.
You just envision this guy that has seen all this shit, who now has seen good and the bad, has been through a lot, who was coming off momentum playing good football, and now he gets to play with who? Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and like 7 other running backs that will be used as other guys go down. Like, I mean, it's gonna work. Like I watched the game against Tampa and went, the 49ers could 100% win with this guy. Now, win the Super Bowl, win playoff games. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, week 1, if this guy's your starter, the 49ers will be favored. I mean, unless they're playing like the Chiefs, the Bengals, or potentially like the Eagles. Like any other team, like they're going to be favored if this guy's their starter. That's a fact. I mean, that's just a reality. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the starter, but I do think it's going to be very, very difficult, guy. I have a hard time. What I witnessed against Tampa, just how calm and comfortable he is, and he should be. 55, that was his what? 54th career start. The guy that he's going to be
55 careers. Oh yeah, 55.
But I'm saying like week 17, 2 more games, so it would have been his 54th. The other guy, he's going to bring stuff to the table that the other guy just can't even begin to replicate.
Do you know how many interceptions per game per start he averages?
I would imagine he's thrown a lot in his career.
1. It's easy math because he has 55 starts and 55 interceptions against 61 touchdowns.
He's had some Belichick games where he's probably thrown 3 or 4, right?
I played for the Jets, played for the Panthers. But, that would be one thing that would be unacceptable from the 49ers quarterback. When you play with this level of defense, is taking more chance, right? That is unacceptable for 49ers quarterbacks. A lot of interceptions. There's no reason for it.
Well, Jimmy's thrown a few.
Jimmy has thrown a few. But there's no reason for it.
But interceptions are inevitable. I just watched the guy pass against Tampa and go, with the weapons that he has, I could live with 12 if you get, again, same with Purdy, who didn't throw that many, but if he was the full-time starter, would throw more. If you get me 32 plus touchdowns, right? It was the math never added up. It's like, well, he only threw 9 picks, but he threw 18 touchdowns. Like, well, can I get some more explosion in the passing game? That is why the excitement came with Purdy, right?
Yeah.
Multiple touchdowns every single game. If you just average 1.8 touchdown a game in 17-game season, like you're right around 30. The Niners would die for 30 touchdown passes. Why? Because they're going to get a lot of rushing touchdowns with their running backs / Debo. So if you get me 29 to 33 range, they're just going to be one of the better offenses in the league because their fucking head coach is from the 50s and he likes to run the ball. The question mark has been, can they be an explosive passing offense? They have the weapons. It was just they couldn't get the throws, right?
Mohammed says Trey Lance started back-to-back games last year, week 1 and 2. Sorry, let me amend it. Started and finished back-to-back games.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Mustafa says it's so obvious.
I stole. Someone tweeted that, and I was like, "That's a good line." So I went rolled with it.
It's so obvious these two don't want Trey Lance to get the chance to start. You're talking to 2 people who said draft Trey Lance, and you're talking to 2 people who said replace Jimmy Garoppolo with Trey Lance. So it's not about what we want Trey Lance to be. It's about what the evidence says so far your best chance to win is.
Yeah, I'm completely unemotional to football when it comes to the 49ers and their chances. All I care about is I want them winning and in the playoffs making runs. And if Trey Lance is that guy, so be it. Let's roll. But what I've witnessed out of Sam Darnold at the end of the season, Trey Lance isn't that good. And it's like
as good as Sam Darnold.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, exactly. Is it unfair? Whatever, maybe. But it's just the reality of the business that he's in, and he's going into year 3 with career 4 starts, several injuries, and just it's not gone well. And unfair to him, the trade and the way he's talked about and this will happen with the future Carolina, like he can't control any of that. But there are all these other variables and all the other picks that he was traded for, who they turned into a Hall of Fame wide receiver, a star coach. Just
Yeah.
it just is what it is, and it's created this, this extra variable of him also as a player that needs all these reps and this time, but he doesn't have the time because this team is on a timeline that doesn't fit his timeline, i.e., I would say a little like James Wiseman-y.
Well, unless he takes a jump, unless he improves enough to, he hasn't played a lot. So maybe there are opportunities for Trey to make the improvement to the point that makes him the starting quarterback. Maybe everyone else gets hurt and he is the starting quarterback. There are still scenarios, I think, where the door is open for Trey Lance, but unlike last year, it's not going to get handed to him.
And the leash, if they end up there, will not be long.
Yeah.
Right. He was getting a long leash last year, non-injury, correct?
Yeah.
And that leash might have been 6-7 games. It might not have been the entire season or whatever. This might not be your prototypical leash for a super young player that you traded a lot, but he was still getting a leash. That leash has been more than cut in half moving forward.
And that's, I think, a big part of the Wiseman comp you just made for NBA fans. All right, well, let's talk about the Trey Lance aspect of this. If you're watching this live, we're going to jump over to another video. It's about to be live in 2 seconds.